Thank you. Good evening. Ja, de ACA Twitch 8 Sana Bifni Bushish Ki Anidash Tohaglina Dashanella. Thank you. I'm coming to you guys from Arizona, actually, from the Navajo Nation. And right now we're actually in the middle of a uranium crisis. So I'm going to talk about that at the end of my presentation. Primarily, I will talk about nuclear colonialism, why uranium mining is dangerous, environmental justice, and the issue that we're working on right now, which is basically all the aspects related to the front end of the nuclear fuel chain, which I'm not sure how many of you know about the front end. I worked for several years fighting Holtec, which is the back end. So I think all of you are very aware of that. And in New Mexico, just so you know, I know Holtec says we want the waste. We don't, and we fought it, and we're going to keep fighting Holtec in New Mexico. So we need to work together. And I think that's something that we're learning out here is the power of working together. Okay, I just wanted to give a really quick, brief history. I have here Pinyon Plain, nuclear energy. So yeah, I'm going to talk about these topics. I'm going to talk about just kind of where I'm coming from, and then a little bit about the uranium mining that has happened before I get into Pinyon Plain and other stuff. So this image is basically something that I was needing in order to explain some of the dangers of uranium mining. And so just to start again, I'm not sure how many folks are familiar with uranium mining. Basically, there's different types of mining. You're taking this radioactive rock out of the earth, either through shaft mining. You might go into a mountainside and pull it out, laterally, mountaintop removal. And then there's also a type of mining called in situ leach mining, where they inject chemicals into the earth to extract the uranium. In this case, it would be in an aquifer. So the aquifer is used as a vehicle for mining. And that means they have to deliberately contaminate the aquifer in order to extract the uranium. So ISL is not a new technology or a safe technology. It's just a different way to contaminate our environment. And so for us out here on the res, on Navajo Nation, a lot of people are very familiar with uranium mining because we have a lot of relatives who have gotten sick, various, cancers, reproductive problems, and a lot of our folks are still dealing with the repercussions today, because even if they weren't miners, because we are all what's considered downwinders. So you might think of the Nevada tests or nuclear testing, but we are also downwinders of uranium mining. And so this image here is basically just to help to explain to a Diné audience, some of the things that happen to their health after long-term either chronic exposure, so low level radiation, or if they had ingested or drank nuclear wastes. So either if it gets in your food or your water. And so this is actually an hour and a half long presentation that goes through the different impacts specifically from mining. So when I was doing my work, I started in 2007, and going into the community, like on the ground in Diné communities, trying to speak to my elders, and I'm not fluent in my own language. So trying to explain these high level scientific things was really not easy. And so having, the educational materials here, this was like non-existent. So with the help of some artists, we made this image through, and experts, health experts and others, we created this image in the radiation monitoring project. So this is just a little bit of my background, where I'm coming from as a Diné person. This image is made for us because this is what we need to inform our people. Whereas in general, I think all of you understand through colonization that this world was not created for us. It was stolen. They tried to genocide us. And here we are living with this continued colonization of our lands, and we're seeing all the impacts today through climate change. But we mustn't forget about capitalism, again, genocide, and all the things leading to where we're at today. So as a Diné person, myself, I've been working on uranium mining issues because my family has been impacted. So hearing, seeing my relatives die of cancer, or, like today, hearing people cough, and just knowing that it's from uranium that is totally preventable. This is something we need to let folks know. If Hochul wants to build more nuclear power plants, basically this is killing our people down here. And so we need folks to realize you use uranium as the fuel for nuclear energy and nuclear weapons. And so today, our people, Navajo Nation, we created a law saying we don't want any uranium mining happening on our land. And so we also have a law saying no transport. These are very recent. So our Navajo Nation laws are from 2005 and 2012. But you can see through this list of different policies and really just writings, some of them are not even legal documents. But over time, the process of the theft of our lands, creating these colonial governments, such as the Navajo Nation, our Navajo Nation government is not something created through our culture or through necessity by our people. We've lived here for since time immemorial. We've lived here for millennia without a Navajo Nation. And the Navajo Nation was only created to sign oil and gas leases. So part of that resource extraction, resource colonization, and really our elders, they weren't able to read the documents in English and have that free, prior, and informed consent to really sign away our lands. And then right now, I'm going to talk about a transport issue, our right of ways. And so today, we're looking mostly at our water. So that's the thing that's most at stake, especially being in a desert environment. So I'm not going to go through these laws, but this is basically to show how the system was created against us and how mining, the 1872 mining law specifically, was designed for manifest destiny, was created in a way that it still exists today in its original form, and is extremely successful in how it continues to allow extraction and without any legal rights from us to be able to stop it. And a lot of this type of mining, it's on public lands, and a lot of these places are our sacred sites. So yeah, I'm just cruising through this really fast. So as a result of the Manhattan Project, so going back to the mid 20th century, we're talking about World War II, the United States used uranium, in the war, and people talk about mostly focusing on Japan and the use of the weapons, but what resulted because of the push for uranium, mostly all for defense purposes. This was all the United States mining until the early 70s. It created over 20,000 abandoned uranium mines in the country. So this is a zoomed in area. This is an interactive map. I can put the link in the chat. And so this all the red dots show the different abandoned uranium mines. And so this is an international thing. I mean, an interactive thing you can look into. But I wanted to just really highlight that the Navajo Nation this is the Navajo Nation right here. We have over 520 abandoned uranium mines. And so my work lately has been focused on this fight we call Hall No. And so we are still working to stop the transport of uranium from a uranium mine at the Grand Canyon. So for those of you who don't know, a company called Energy Fuels started mining at the Grand Canyon, and this was in January of last year, and then they started that transport through the Navajo Nation in July last year. And this community of Cameron has 111 abandoned uranium mines. And that one community alone, which is the first community, sorry, the phone is ringing. This is the first community the uranium trucks will hit. And just at the end of January, we got news. We got news that the transport is going to start tomorrow. And so right now we're gearing up to be ready for that. And so, yeah, this is what's happening because of the push for more nuclear fuel, that we have people on the res right now scared. They're really scared and they're pissed. Everyone is so mad at our government because right now they made an agreement with the uranium company we're fighting. It's a much longer story. It's horrible. You can follow our social media. But yeah, this is going to start tomorrow. And so this is the front end of the uranium fuel chain, and this is the overlay of the cold maps. But I'm going to end, let me grab that real quick. Okay, the phone. I'm sorry about that. This is a image, again, an infographic that we created specifically to explain what I'm going to tell you. And then this is the end of my presentation. So the reason why nuclear is not a solution to climate change is because the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate only counts the carbon footprint of nuclear energy here. So not anything before and not anything after. So if we're only counting the carbon footprint of the nuclear power plant, essentially that erases us, that erases our human rights, that erases, all of the contamination and the cleanup needed in our environment. And so the most deadly of that waste, all of you know, is the high level radioactive waste. And so this is what they wanted to bring to New Mexico on the rails. And those rails go right through Navajo, again, leading to our transport law. We made this law because we don't want to risk anything else to our people that we've already lived through. And so that is why I said at the beginning, I don't know what we're going to do with the waste. I don't know what Holtec is planning. And they got the court case coming up in June. Right now, New Mexico, we fought Holtec and we were winning through a state law and a court case, but that could change in June. So I'll be open for questions, and thank you for the time and thank you for the invitation to present today.